On September 20, 1980, in a small town in the deep south, two young girls vanished during a local festival. To investigate, detectives Juan and Pedro were sent to the area. They arrived in the evening and checked into a hotel. Soon, two local police officers came to brief them on the case. The senior officer explained that the missing girls were sisters, 17-year-old Estrella and 15-year-old Carmen. They were last seen near the riverbank where their father worked on his boat. A neighbor saw the girls walking home and then a car pulled up. They got in and drove away. That was 3 days ago. The next day, Juan and Pedro started their investigation. Juan went to the festival where he got some locals to drink alcohol and chat. He learned that the girls had been talking about leaving town. Meanwhile, Pedro went to the girls' home and spoke with their parents. He asked if the girls had recently argued with their parents, but they said no. When he asked if anything was missing, the girl's mother, Rosita, said that Estrella's bank passbook and some clothes were gone. Their father, Rigo, insisted that his daughters didn't want to leave and that he had no enemies. While talking with the parents, Pedro noticed a car part from a Saturn car behind the house. He asked if money was also missing, which angered Rigo, and he walked away. Rosita secretly gave Juan an envelope, telling him not to tell Rigo because he was already upset. When the detectives opened the envelope, they found a roll of film with some personal photos of Estrella and Carmen. The detectives then went to speak with the girls' friends. While they were talking, someone knocked on the car window. The girls told them it was Marina's boyfriend, Queenie, and then everyone left. Next, Juan and Pedro spoke to the neighbor who saw the girls get in the car. She said they all seemed to know each other and were joking around before they left. Based on the car part Pedro saw and the neighbor's description, Juan drew a sketch of the car, identifying it as a Tiang 6 model. Pedro realized he had seen a yellow Tiang 6 cargo car in Rigo's backyard. Just as they were about to get back in their car, a man approached them. He said his boss, a woman named Angelita, wanted to speak with them. He took them by boat, telling them that Angelita spoke with the dead in her sleep. When they met Angelita, she told them that for the past 2 nights, she had been talking to her deceased mother. Her mother had seen the two girls at an old farmhouse where people were afraid to go because of ghost stories. When Angelita saw Juan, her expression changed, but she said everything was fine. The detectives and police went to the farmhouse. They found Estrella's bag in a well, and inside was her passbook. The next day, as they were searching the area, they saw a man running with a baby deer. They chased him down. He said his name was Jesus and that he was running because he didn't have a hunting permit. One recognized him from the festival and let him go when the police arrived. In the next scene, 2 men are driving when they stop for one of them to pee on the side of the road. He discovers a girl's body. The police arrive and find a second body. The victims are identified as Estrella and Carmen. The horrific scene was too much for Pedro, and he became sick. The investigator reported that the girls had been raped and tortured. They had injuries to their chests and backs. 1 hand was badly burned, and 3 fingers on the other were cut off. All of this had happened while they were still alive. A news reporter came and started taking pictures, but one immediately confronted and threatened him. The detective's boss told them to solve the case as soon as possible, promising a reward. One went to Rigo and Rosita to give them the terrible news. The parents were devastated. Back at their hotel, a staff member gave one a package that had been left for him. Inside, there were pictures of the 2 girls. In one of the photos, a person's hand had a triangle tattoo, and on the wall of the room, there was a pair of deer antlers. Later that night, a drunken man with a shotgun came to their hotel. When he showed his police badge, the man put down his shotgun and said he just wanted to talk. His name was Castro, and he revealed that his girlfriend, Beatrice, and another girl, Adela, had been killed in the same way. Beatrice's body was cut up and thrown into the river, so the police only found her leg. Castro said Beatrice had a job offer in Dar Costa del Sol and was on her way there when she was murdered. The detectives then went to the police station to look at Beatrice's suitcase, which was found in the river. Inside, they found the same job card they had found in Estrella's grave. They went to Beatrice's house and on the way, they found Jesus. Since he knew the area well, they took him with them. Jesus helped them get inside the house. In a drawer, they found a photo of Beatrice with Estrella, Carmen, and Queenie. They also found a photo viewer with pictures of some locations. Next, they visited Adela's mother. She told them that Adela was Queenie's girlfriend and had also been killed 3 years earlier after getting a job. She gave them some of Adela's files. Juan and Pedro waited for Queenie outside his school. When he and Marina left, they followed them to a house. As they were watching from their car, Queenie sneaked up from behind and held a knife to Pedro's neck. Juan quickly grabbed his hand and started hitting him until Pedro stopped him. When questioned, Queenie didn't answer clearly, which made Juan angry. He hit him again. He then confessed that he had been with Marina all night. He claimed he didn't know Beatrice or Adela but may have met them once. Juan let him go but kept his knife. That night, Juan and Pedro had a drink. Juan pointed out that all the victims were young girls who had disappeared during the festival, Adela in 77, Beatrice in 78, and Estrella and Carmen in 80. The common link was that they all knew Queenie. Pedro remembered seeing the same triangle tattoo on Queenie's hand that was in the photo. Pedro then went to the news reporter who had been at the crime scene. He showed the reporter the film roll from the envelope and asked him about it. The reporter said it was a rare imported film and he could find out who used it. In exchange, he wanted the autopsy photos of the girls to sell to his newspaper. Pedro agreed, and the reporter mentioned that he had seen one somewhere before, but couldn't remember where. The next day, at Estrella and Carmen's funeral, their mother, Rosita, told the detectives that she had found Estrella's bank passbook. She said her husband, Rigo, had hidden it in the car. After the funeral, Rosita gave them the passbook. They confronted Rigo with the passbook. He confessed that he had borrowed a lot of money because he wanted his daughters to leave town. He explained that 2 months ago he had found a 1-kilogram piece of deer horn by the river and sold it. With the money, he bought the car. The people he sold it to took their fridge and TV when he couldn't repay the money and threatened to take his boat and the reward money if he didn't pay up. He was crying as he told them they had to leave. One left, telling Pedro they had to find out who owned the deer horn. Pedro went to the river to search for clues, and one decided to keep an eye on Queenie. One followed Queenie and Marina to a hunting lodge. He hid in the bushes and watched as a Tiang 6 car arrived. A man in a hat got out and went inside. Suddenly, someone hit Juan on the head, and he passed out. When he woke up, it was dark and he was by the riverbank, looking at birds flying away. After waking up at the riverbank, Juan goes to the police station where Pedro is waiting. Pedro tells him that Marina is home and appears to be fine. He also mentions that he searched all the boats at the river, but didn't find anything unusual. Queenie is brought in for questioning, but he denies that anyone else was with him and Marina at the lodge. One gets angry, and despite a warning from his boss not to make arrests without evidence, he holds him at the station overnight. The next day, they go to Marina's house to question her, but she's too scared to talk and her mother sends them away. As they leave, one secretly plants a listening device on their phone line. Later, their car breaks down, and they're given a ride in a boat by an old man named Fermin. He tells them the deer horn Rigo found actually belonged to him and was stolen, but he wasn't responsible for any murders. He reveals that Angelita is his wife, not a medium, and that he saw the culprits near the well that night. He says he was there for a deal at 5 a.m. and saw a car with a specific sticker on the trunk. He draws a sketch of the symbol. Before they leave, Angelita mysteriously tells Fermin that the murderer is waiting for him, and it's time. Back at the hotel, one of the detectives looks through Adela's file and sees the same sticker Fermin described. They immediately go to Adela's mother, who tells them that a man named Sebastian Robina Galvez got her daughter a job and helped her break up with Queenie. He also gave Adela towels from the hotel where he worked. They call the hotel and find out Sebastian was fired for having an affair with a minor, but some of his things are still there. Meanwhile, the detective who went to the hotel finds a letter at his door asking him to meet someone at the cross at 7:30 a.m. The other detective, Pedro, meets the reporter who tells him that only one person in town buys the special film roll, Queenie. The reporter also reveals he recognized Juan. He saw him in 1971 as part of the Social Political Brigade, where he shot a girl twice during a protest. The reporter says Juan has aged a lot in 9 years and believes he can't sleep at night because of it. At the cross the next morning, Rosita arrives with Marina. Rosita tells the detective that Marina and her daughter were close friends. She reveals that at the lodge, Queenie tied Marina up and took photos of her while another person was there. Marina couldn't see the person, but noticed they had a soft hand and smelled of expensive perfume. Queenie threatened to spread the photos if Marina told anyone. Rosita also says that Queenie wasn't with Marina all night on the day her daughter went missing. At the same time, Pedro goes to Sebastian's old hotel. A staff member confirms Sebastian was fired for having a minor girlfriend. Pedro opens Sebastian's suitcase and finds the same advertisement card for jobs that they found on the victims. With this new information, Pedro heads back to the city. One goes to see the landowner, Carol, shakes his hand, and notices it's very soft and smells of expensive perfume, just like Marina described. As Pedro is driving back, he spots Carol's DN6 car and begins to follow him. Carol realizes he's being followed and gets away. When the detectives report back to their boss, he tells them that there is no official record of a DN6 car on Carol's property. Marina's mother claims Marina is at the movies and cannot be reached. Pedro asks for a DNA test on Carol, but the boss refuses, stating they don't have enough evidence to do so. The man wearing a cap tells the detectives to leave, arguing that a cap doesn't make him a killer. He accuses Pedro of protecting people, and Pedro shoots back that Juan is no different, bringing up what he did in 1971. Juan, agitated, pulls on Pedro's shirt and says, "You don't know anything. I didn't do it, my partner did. I didn't even pull out my gun. I took the blame for him. Was that wrong?" After this argument, Juan decodes the number Marina called and realizes it's for the hunting lodge. They immediately go there. Pedro grabs the lodge owner by the neck and asks about Sebastian. She denies knowing him, but Juan talks to her calmly about how the girls were tortured and killed. The woman starts to cry, saying she didn't know about that. She then admits the man in the cap is Sebastian, and his mother, a friend of hers, had asked for a place for him to hide. She tells them he's in an abandoned house near the lodge. They go to the house and break down the door. No one is there, but they find the missing girl's belongings, confirming that Sebastian is the killer. Just then, Jesus shouts from outside that he sees a car, a dance car, coming and going. They get in their car and follow it. The rain makes the road slippery, and their car gets stuck. Jesus says he knows a shortcut to Marshland, and they go through a field. A shot is fired and Jesus falls. He tells them to go on while he stays behind. One goes ahead and sees the car by a pool of water. He sees Sebastian and yells, "Freeze!" But Sebastian shoots him. Juan, injured, gets up and stabs Sebastian repeatedly with a knife. Sebastian falls into the water and dies. Juan throws the knife away and opens the trunk of the car. Inside is Marina. Juan hugs her as Marina cries. The next day, the police take Queenie away. That evening, everyone is celebrating. Pedro runs into the reporter and tells him he was wrong about Juan. The reporter gives Pedro an official report that says Juan had tortured over 100 people and was one of the best at it. Pedro looks at Juan, and the scene ends. The following day, as they are about to leave, Pedro looks at Juan. Juan asks if everything is okay between them, and Pedro says yes, before they drive away, and this is the end of the movie.